Okay, so in the previous we see that we need to assign a name property, and that name property has been assigned to the component, and then we have the find name property, and when we can convert that and assigning those particular specific object reference to the variables inside our code, and we can access them. Okay, there is another way that is much more simpler, and what is that? So instead of having the name property, I just try to remove that particular specific name property for the border. Okay, and then I just go back and delete this border variable, and then of course I need to delete that particular specific assignment. So what we can do here, instead of having the name property, we have x, and then we have find modifier name UID. So we say a name and then say my or main border. So we say x name main border. We have assigned, we control as it here, and then here instead of having that particular border, we say main border. So name is a property which assign a name, and then we can find name, access, get the reference of that particular specific visual component or whatever that component is, and then cast it into the specific type and then assign to the label, or you can directly x name. Name is a simple property and x name is another property. So in this way we can directly access those names, x names, inside our code, because they create those variables which are accessible throughout the code. So there are two different ways to access, but definitely second one is more simpler, I suppose. Okay. So depending on, you can use either one of them, whichever you are comfortable with. Okay. So we have button, then we have x name property here, btn1, and then we have contents, what will be displayed on horizontal alignment, vertical alignment, width, height, and then we also have the font size. Font size means the size of that particular specific font. Click is another key property of the button control that will be added automatically when we double click on the button to create. It is click event method. So when we double click on the GUI thing, it automatically create that particular specific button click event on that one. Okay. Again, label that show some text on the screen, a small amount of text. Okay. Some information that you want to show to the user. Text box is again which is more like an input field. That is the enter input. Text box is actually showing up the text box in which the user can give the values. Text is the important property of the text box that is used to get or set the values of the text box. Then examples are here. So we can set the values once we have that particular tbx1. So tbx1 dot text, we can get the value, and definitely if you are trying to get some numbers from the user, that will come as a string. So we need to do some typecasting, just we have done when we are getting from the console dot get or read line. Console dot read line, it will give you a text value or a string value, and if it is a number, then you need to convert that into a number. Okay. So we need to make sure that if you are expecting a string from the user or you are expecting a different value, for example, you are expecting the user to give you the true false value, then it's better that you try to use the drop down menu combo. What is that? I mean, there I will show you. or maybe you can say radio buttons or something, so that you exactly know that if that is selected, I need to convert that into the true value or the false value. Okay, list box. List box is more like it list of the items. List mean that we have multiple items inside it, and that each item can be a text, can contains some values. List box item, adding the elements, so we can add the elements. So list box item, and then we can give the contents. Content is equal to this list box dot item list box dot, so we can add those values here. And we don't need to worry about the scroll bar. If it is required, it would automatically appear. In the other, we need to have that scroll bar, otherwise it is not visible. But in the list box, if the number of items that you have added in that particular specific list is go out of the size of that particular list box, that scroll bar is automatically going to appear. And you can click on each and every item here. Okay. So list box properties, we have item source. We can say that this item source is coming from other databases or something else, or maybe coming from a file. So that can be select index. Selected index mean that which specific value has been selected. You clicked on that. So again, the index is 0. Start with 0. The first value is actually index value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it has 10 items, then it will be 0 to 9 index values. Remember that thing. Same as the array. Then we have a selected value, which specific value has been selected. For example, we have this particular specific text box. We add, so we can add those values inside the list. We can remove from the list, we can select something and say remove it from the screen. So we selected values, we can delete it from the canvas. Again is a more like a layout. We can draw something on it. Okay, this is a canvas. Check boxes. So these will create the check boxes. You know that for the check boxes you can select multiple. We can move checkbox group so that we can group them together. And then we have images. We can show the images over there. So I mean, there are the different components which you can use to build your GUI. You need to provide a source which image you want to display. So definitely it will load that image and show it on that particular specific thing. Calendar. You can add a calendar over there. Then we have a this is our calendars that show up over there. Combo box. Combo box is a drop down. You drop down items. So you click on that, you see that these are the contact combo box items. So content is Apple, background is that, so you can have different backgrounds. Menu is that's coming up on the file menu or edit menu or view menu or save menu. It will drop down, so you can design all those things together. Password box, again, that is something when you enter the values, what the user is entering or typing is not visible. It is obscured. Text block, that is more like if you want to enter multiple lines of the code. Tab control, you can have tabs inside your GUI. You have multiple tabs, so tab 1, tab 2, tab 3. So more like these are different pages which exist in the one window, and then you can design them differently. Scroll view, we talk about that, and we have seen the example that we have the items which go out of the visible area and then we can't see them, then we can apply the scroll view. And then if you set the horizontal scroll view auto, then it will show you the horizontal scroll view as well. So these are the layout panels, layouts. Canvas panel, grid panel, stack panel, wrap panel, and the dock panel. We have seen that particular specific stack panel. Stack panel goes things vertically. We can change that particular specific behavior into the canvas panel. Canvas panel is the basic layout panel in which the child elements can be positioned explicitly using the coordinates, using the exact values, not the relative ones. Okay, so you exactly same size, and then based on the, you know, if it is an x and y plane, so we have x coordinate, y coordinate, x and y values. So based on that, we are trying to pinpoint exactly where that particular specific element is going. So that is the canvas. Grid panel provides a flexible area which consists of the rows and columns, multiple grid, just like a table, you know. We have rows, we have columns, so where you want to put over there. So we have a grid dot row, grid dot columns, so and then we can define all those things. So that's something which is like, it's more like a tabular form where you want to arrange the elements. So this is again a grid name, that's a label, that's a label, that is a label. These are the, what you can say, that the text blocks in which you can get some input from the user, and they are arranged in a very much tabular form. Okay. Stack panels. Stack panels is a simple and useful element layout. In the example, the stack panel child elements can be arranged in a single line, whether it's a vertical line or whether it is a horizontal line. So we can set the like orientation horizontal. When you say orientation horizontal, it is actually arranging the elements into the horizontal line. And if we don't set that property, by default it is vertical. Okay. So this is how the buttons are arranged when the horizontal property is there. If the horizontal vertical and or if you don't have the orientation, it is going to be like that, vertical thing. Okay, vertical line. Dock panel, we have left, top, right and bottom and the center. So this is more like a docking things. We have different we divide the screen into the multiple areas. Left, I mean, you know, I mean, sometimes you see the websites or the applications in which on the left side all the buttons are there. So they are actually using the docking. In the center, we have that particular specific main area or the working area. On the top, we have some menus. On the right, we have some properties. On the left, we have some, what you can say that again, some buttons or some other things that we can show. And on the bottom, maybe we can have other different components over there. So we can arrange the screen into a well-defined areas. That is a dock panel. Nested layouts. We have windows. Inside I put that particular specific border. Inside the border I put a grid. Inside the grid I put a border. Then inside the grid again I put another dock panel or the stack panel. So nested. We are nesting the things together. Okay. We have a grid. Again, we have a grid. Inside the grid, grid number 1, grid number 2, then we have a label, then we have a stack panel, then we have a stack panel. So we are nesting the things together to make our GUI as we want. Okay. Nested layouts again. So this is what I am expecting you to make in the lab. We have certain borders. Inside the borders we have actually this is window, and inside the window I need to arrange the things like that. So what if I just try to imagine what are the components are there. Maybe this is a stack panel and this is a border, and inside the border we have a stack panel. Again we have the border, and inside the border we have a stack panel which we are putting the text boxes, text box, and this one is more like a date picker. When we click on that, it will open up a window, and then you can select a specific date. It will come down here automatically, and after that we have that particular specific again. So now if I just try to imagine that this internal elements, a stack panel, a border and a stack panel inside it, border and stack panel inside it, and then what we can do from here. This is again I can say a stack panel which is inside the window, which contain 3 borders, or maybe another stack panel here. So they are different way to create that particular specific thing. Maybe you can say I want to have a grid because this is more like a table form to me, so you can use a grid. The other person say I'm more comfortable using the stack panels, so stack panels. This is also can be a stack panel. This can be a stack panel, this can be a stack, but this can also be a grid as well. Arranging the elements together in such a way that it comes like that. So there are multiple ways to do that, and then we save. When you click on the save button, when you click on the save button, all the values which has been selected here, first it will check validation, user input validation, that user has given me some values or not. If the user has provided me those values, then add that particular specific record inside the list box. This is a list box here on the click event. Clear mean clear those values. So that's what I am expecting from you to develop in the lab. Any questions?